This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah, hi, good morning all. So let's get started now. So in the last class, we have worked on decision rules, right, to calculate risk rate adjustment, the loan rate adjustment, and so using the declared expression, so we calculated the interest rate. So interest rate is sum of base rate, risk rate, and loan rate, right? So now, uh, so we are going to use the utility shape in the flow. So if we want to invoke the activity, so we can call in another activity. So by using call or branch, and we can call in the flow action either in the pre-processing or the post-processing. And so we can also call in the utility shape. Okay. So here, so as part of this second screen in the auto loan, so we are entering some data like, the loan purpose, the loan type. And in the third screen, so we are, entering vehicle information like VIN, make, model year. And we are going to take this data and storing into some table. Okay. So here we will take the loan purpose and terms. Okay. And in the second screen, so in the next screen, so we have the vehicle related information. Okay. And so once we submit the screen, so this corresponding details like, the loan purpose, the loan terms, and VIN, make, model year should be stored in different data class. Okay. So for this, so what we do is, so we are going to create an activity and we will invoke this activity in the utility shape. So we can also invoke in the post processing of the flow action. But sometimes, let's say, so if we do not have the flow actions to invoke activity, so we go for utility shape. Okay. So put a day. So it's so insert win details into the win transaction details data class dynamically. So every time when we execute auto loan flow, so some of the details have to be stored in separate data class. Okay, the step one, so let's create a data class, create a win transaction details data class, the properties. Okay, add data type. So initially we have worked on customer details activity, right? So where we use OBJ save to insert the data, the similar way, so we are going to do. Okay, so let's create properties win, so which will be the primary key. Make model year. So model year will be a integer, and loan purpose and loan terms. Okay, so we need to insert the data dynamically. So not, so we are not going to enter here. Okay. So let's select primary key as win. Okay, so now what we need to do? So we need to create an activity, so which will take the data from PY workpage and it has to save into the win transaction details data class. Okay, so now here how many classes are involving? So one is auto loan work class, so where we have the data. So like, whatever the data we select as part of the second screen and third screen will be available on PY workpage, and we need to assign it to this corresponding page. Okay, yeah, so let's create activity in auto loan class because this is required for only auto loan. The next step is create an activity called save win details. So right click on auto loan class, technical activity. So here how many classes are involving? The two classes, right? So the work class, without defining, also we can, directly specify the properties. Okay. So we can use the primary, or we can, so directly use the properties with the dot reference, right? So now let's define a page called win details by referring to the data class. So we use this page to save the data into this class. Win details, win transaction details. Okay. So now let's create the defined page. Okay. So once this step is executed, it will create a new page on the clipboard, and we need to assign the data to this page and save it. Okay. So what is the next step we need to write? So we have the data. So at the time of execution, so we'll have the data already available on clipboard on PY workpage. Okay, so we need to map it to the win details page. So how can we do that? Yeah, so use the property set. So property name win details dot, let's say win. Next win details dot make. Next. So win make model ES, and so we have a loan purpose and terms, right? So win details dot loan purpose. So here what we need to put, so where we have a loan purpose property and at the loan details, right? That
Loan
means py
details.
workpage dot loan details dot loan purpose. Okay. Now similarly terms also. Loan details dot terms. So based on the clipboard structure, so we need to assign it. Okay. So now, so once this step is executed, you will have the details on this page. Okay. So we need to save that page. Yeah. Okay. So you know this, right? Like, you know, if you want to specify, you can specify the py work page, and here you can put py workpage dot win like that. Okay. Or if you do not specify any step page, by default it will take py work page. So here we are using the page. Okay. And you specify win details, and here you can put, you know, primary dot win like that. Okay. Clear? So now we are going to invoke this activity in the utility shape. So utility is one of the flow shape. So where we can invoke activity. Okay. So before that, so always, you know, so it will take the win. So whatever the win we select, that will be assigned to this property in the win transaction details data class, right? So now, so I don't want win. So I want save. I want work object ID as a win. Okay. So in that case, so what we can put here. So instead of win, I want work object ID. So let's say every time when you execute the flow, okay, so it creates a unique ID, right? And this has to be saved into the win transaction details data class with the win as a AL-144. Okay. So what is the property which holds the work object ID?
PYID.
PYID, which will be available on PY work page, right? So now, if you put PYID, so it will be AL-144. Okay. So now, so we want to, you know, manipulate that work object ID. So I don't want AL-144. So I want it should be like this. Okay. So if work object ID is AL-144, so it should be auto loan -144. So only we need to take the value after hyphen. Okay. So that means like we are manipulating this data at runtime. So we are not taking the whole text, whole data. So we are taking only some portion of the text. Okay. Some value, right? So we need to take the value which comes after hyphen, and it will be, and so this auto loan will be the static text. Okay, so we will hard code that, and every time when you execute a flow, so it will be auto loan hyphen, so work object ID. Okay, so for that, so we have a expression builder. By using that, we can manipulate the data at runtime. So it is, you know, collection of predefined functions. So like if you want to know the current date time, or if you want to convert from, you know, one date format to another date, or if you want to take the difference between two dates, so those functions available here. Okay, so wherever you see this option, so that means we can build an expression. So this is available in most of the rules. Okay, so we can find in the decision rules, we can find in the data transform also. Okay, so put it in expression builder. So you are noting down step by step, right? You put some space and put expression builder. So it is a collection of predefined functions. Expression builder is a collection of predefined functions we use to manipulate data at runtime. And we can also perform, so mathematical functions, the date functions, etc.
Satya, could you please repeat it?
So it's a collection of predefined functions we use to manipulate the data at runtime. Put on mute, please. Okay. And also we can perform mathematical functions, the date functions, etc. So we have a lot of functions available. So we'll work on most of the functions.
So Satya, what are those predefined functions?
Yeah, that's what. So we'll work on few. Okay. So now, so we have a requirement. So where we need to take only the value which comes after hyphen, right? So here we have a function called what comes after first. Okay. So this is the function. So what comes after first? So we need to pass the string input and the token. So string input will be a PYID and that value will be ALDAS144, right? And the token will be hyphen. That means, so it will return the value after hyphen. Okay, whatever the text, it is there often after hyphen. Okay, so click on this and PYID is the input string. Okay, and the token you need to put in a single quote. Okay, and we can also test here. So PYID, let's say, let's put AL-144. So what it will return? Yeah. So this is the result. Okay. So we use these kind of functions mostly. Clear? So submit it. So so it will return only 144. And if you want, so it should be autoloan hyphen 144, right? So what we can do is you can hard code autoloan like this. And we need to concatenate, right? So autoloan hyphen 144. This will be the result. Okay. So similarly, so we have what comes, before first. So what comes before last, like that.
Satya, why did you hard code it there? So why can't you call it from that method?
Yeah, so if you want the same, value as p by ad, then you can directly put p by ad. So just we are manipulating it, right?
Okay.
So
Okay.
in some cases, like, so we need to consider, the some portion of the text. So based on the conditions. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So in some cases, let's say, uh, so we have the list of states, which contains in this way. Like, let's say CA, iPhone, Northwest, uh, like this. Okay, list of states contains with the iPhone, and so we need to take, each state. So in that case, like, what we can do is, so we can consider what comes before last. So where we can use the, token as the iPhone, so it will come only CA. Then what comes after first, and we will, what comes after first. So it will be like, NW hyphen CO. Again, we will perform what comes before first. So you will get
Yeah.
the second state. Okay.
It's like
So
a
in some
static
cases,
stat. Sorry.
yeah. So in some cases, like, you will not get the values directly. So, you will have some other text also. In that case, like, so we can take whatever, the string we want. Okay. So now what comes before first? Okay. Yeah, let's test this. So what comes before first? See here, AL dash 144 is the string, input string. And what comes before first? Okay. So what comes before hyphen? Let's say if it is, so now tell me, so what will be the result? Let's say your work object ID is like that. And what will be the result?
186.
AL dash.
Yes.
So what comes before first? So it will
Okay.
take, the whole value. So before first. So before last means, so it will come like this. Only it will return AL. So now, so what comes before first? So after hyphen, not, it will go to the last hyphen and it will take the whole text. So this is the result.
First occurrence, right?
Yeah. So now let me show you the exact definition of that. What comes before first, right? So returns the portion of string 1 that comes before the first occurrence of the specified character. So if the character is not in the string, returns whole string. Okay. Clear? So returns the portion of the string that comes before the last occurrence of the specified character. So before the last occurrence of the item. Okay. So this is the last occurrence and the before text. Okay. So now similarly, what comes before last? Returns the portion of string that comes before the last occurrence of the specified character. Okay. Last occurrence. What comes before last? So it will evaluate from, right to left. So last occurrence will be, so now again we are testing the same, right? What comes before last? Again it is, So before first, what comes before first? It is taking the first occurrence and it is returning. What comes before last? It will take the last occurrence and it will return the prefix, the whole prefix. Okay. So you can test in that way. So you take, so each one and pass some string and check the written value. Okay. So now here, what comes after first, right? So it will take after hyphen. It will take the text after first hyphen. Okay. So that means like, so we are manipulating this text at runtime. Okay. So now let's execute the flow. But before that, so we are invoking this activity in the utility shape. So in the security tab, so we have an activity type, right? So since we are invoking the utility, so we need to select activity type as utility. And so we have some declarative rules like, on change, trigger, etc. So if you want to invoke in those rules, we need to select the corresponding type. Okay. So now since we are calling in the utility, so you can select the activity type as utility and go to the flow. So we can also call in the post processing. In some cases, let's say, so we do not have flow actions, but in between you need to invoke the activity. Okay. So in those cases, like, we choose utility shape. Okay, like this. Okay, we can call only activity in this shape, right? So in the drop down, so you will see the activities which contains the type as utility. Okay. So we have, another activity also. Okay. So what we need to do is let's check in this. So we selected utility and check in. So by default, it is not showing. So rather it is showing, OOTB activities, right? So now it will show the activity which contains the utility. Okay. So let's say you have other activities also in the auto loan class, but those activity types, not a utility. So in that case, those will not be displayed here. Okay. But still you can take that name and you can invoke it. Okay. But the best practice is, so you need to select the corresponding type. Okay. Save in details. Clear? Any questions?
Yeah, I didn't get exact the point because even in the auto loan details also we have created few activities, right? So you have mentioned here like as a utility is only for the activity.
Yeah. So now, so generally it has to show the list of activities available in auto loan, right? So now
Yeah.
we have two activities. So fetch win details is not showing here because this activity type is not utility. Clear?
Okay. Okay.
But still, if you want, let's say, still if you want to call this activity, you need to put the exact name. Okay. So it will work.
So what
Because
is the
let's say,
yeah,
yeah.
sorry.
So you have hundreds of activities. And so if you want, so if you want to invoke the rule, so you need to check, right? So, you need to filter. So if you select the activity type as utility, so those activities only will be displayed and it will be easy to invoke. Okay. So
Satya,
now,
is flow action
yeah,
also a type of activity?
Flow action, sorry?
Is flow action also a type of activity?
No. So for flow action, you don't need. That's what right. So we invoked some activities in the flow action. So where we haven't selected that, right? So it's not required.
Yeah.
So if you want to call an activity in another activity or in the flow actions, we don't need to, change the type. Okay, it's not required.
So can you please give
Okay,
me this utility definition?
sorry.
Can you please give me the definition of this utility?
So utility is just like, the flow shapes of where we can invoke an activity, and it doesn't require any human intervention. Okay. So let's say this is the user interface, right? So it requires some human intervention, but this is the utility and it doesn't require. So let's say we have start shape, utility and end shape. Okay. So it is automated process.
Okay, got it.
So, but if we have an option to invoke in the post processing, generally we don't go for this. But so let's say we have, you invoke a decision shape here. Okay. But I want, so you invoke this after auto loan details, the decision shape. So it will be covered later. So we'll, invoke the decision rules through the flow. Okay. So after this decision, so I want to invoke the activity immediately. So in that case, like, you can choose utility shape. Okay. Fine. So now let's execute this flow. So loan purpose is new vehicle, 4 years. Okay. So when activity will be executed? When you click on submit. Okay. So we invoke utility after third screen, third flow action, right? So when you click on the submit, the activity will be executed. Okay. See now, new page has been created, then property set, and if you look at win details, you see all the data. And so in the OBJ we haven't selected right now option because so we invoked in the flow, so it's not required to select the right now option. Okay, so now go to the win transaction details data class and you refresh it, and what will be the win value? Auto loan -145. Auto loan -145, right? And other data. Okay, so every time when you execute a flow, so it will be like, auto loan -1467 like that. Okay. Any questions here?
Question like in fetch win details, the
Yeah.
other day when we created.
Yes.
So we had created a same page with the name win details, and here also in page name we are creating same page name.
Yeah.
So will it
No, but see, yeah, in some cases it might cause some issue, but in this case, okay, let me show you that clipboard. Go to the AL-145. Pages are same, right?
Yeah.
Win details. Yeah, so this is the win details. But so this is executing after that, right? Let's say first we are fetching it, but so we are mapping it back to the work page properties, right? So though that page is removed, so we'll not have any issue. Okay, so that's the reason, like, after executing the activity, so you need to remove that page. Okay, so now let me show you that. Fetch win details, right? So this page is required, just to put the data and to map back to the PY workplace. After that we don't need this page, right? So since we are using, uh, the work class properties and we are removing like this, let's say if you create a page called win details, so as I explained that day, right? So without creating make model here again, so you can just create a win details page, and for that page you can specify the data class. So once it is assigned to the PY work page, you can remove the page immediately because it is not required. Okay, so when you create another page, so it will override it. So but you will not have any issue, right? Because this data is already been mapped to the work class properties, so you will not have any issue. Okay, so but sometimes, let's say before executing this, before mapping, if we call that activity, then it might call page. Okay, that you need to take it. So that's the reason, like, so multiple developers, might be working on the application, and another people also can define the same pages, right? But you will not see these kind of issues. So once you process the data, so you have to remove the top level pages if it is not required. Okay, so let's say, so we are fetching the data from database to clipboard using the OBJ browse. So it will put on some top level page, right? Let's say fetch country details. So once you map to the UI properties, then why don't we need to maintain that page on the clipboard? So it's not required, right? So we can remove that. Okay, but do you see any issue here? No, right? So we are fetching the data, and also we are saving back to the win transaction details, right? So now, so the next topic would be validations. Okay, so far we designed multiple screens, but so without entering the data, so we are able to navigate from one screen to another screen, right? So either let's execute auto loan or home loan. Okay, the first screen is the borrower details. So now, so if you submit it, it is going to the next screen. So it should not be the case, right? So you need to make some of the fields mandatory, so that user must need to enter the data. Okay, and let's say you are providing the loan for the people, for the age group from 20 to, let's say, 60. Okay, and if you are entering the age which is less than 20 or greater than 60, so you need to display message saying that age must be in between 20 and 60. Okay, and the credit score, so maximum credit score should be 850. If you are trying to put more than 850, again it has to throw an error, right? So and remaining details, like address details are also mandatory, so you can make it, you can make these fields mandate, right? So we'll do one by one. So before that, let's say here, so we have a date of birth. Okay, so if I select the date of birth, so age has to be calculated automatically, right? So how can we do that? So if we put 1980, so it has to calculate the corresponding age. Okay, so that means, like, whenever the date of birth changes, the age has to be calculated. So what rule we can choose for this? Yes,
Declare
declare
expression.
expression. Yeah, So, but we need to use some function here. Okay. So we need to take the current date time, current date, and this date. If you go to the clipboard, so we need to take the date differences. Let's submit this form. (1980) 01. This is the year 1010, right? Yeah. So this is the date of birth. Okay. Yeah. So whenever the DOB changes, age has to be calculated automatically. Okay. Right. So let's create a declare expression for that. So inside the declare expression, so we need to use the function called date differences. Okay. Or else directly go to the property, borrower age. So this will be the target property, right? So age is a target property here, and input property is date of birth. Okay. So if DOB is null, age value also should be, let's say age value put 0, and so we have a otherwise here. So this is like otherwise. So if DOB is null, if you are not putting any date of birth, so it has to be 0. Okay. So otherwise set age. So here we have a function called date differences. So here we have a function called date time difference. So we do not have a function called date differences. So now, so we need a time also, but in the DOB, so you see only year, month and day, but not the date, right? Okay, so we need to add time for that, and so we need to use a function called current date time. Okay, so this will return the current date along with timestamp. Okay, so look at here. So 2009-01 21 and timestamp GMT time. So by default it will show Greenwich time. Okay, so now, so we have a function called date time difference. You take the DOB like this and add a timestamp for this. Okay, so timestamp you need to put like this. GMT. Okay, and you need to put this in double quotes. Okay, we'll add that later. And so current date time. So add one more function called current date time. And we need the difference in the we need difference between years only. Okay, so age has to be in years, right? So we have a month. Let's say if we want age in the months, you can put M. If we want the difference in the days, you can put D. Okay. And let's put this. Okay. Clear? So DOB plus timestamp. So here after 3 decimals, you need to put some space. So now you look at current date time and put it exactly in the same format. Okay, DOB, let's say 1980. Okay, we're getting 38, right? So let's say I want in the months. So it will be like, 467 months. Okay. If we want in the dates, sorry, in the days, like this. Okay. So now we want age in the years, right? So we can put like this. So if we have the date difference function, then so and we can take current date. So we have a function called current date which gives only the date, not time. Okay, but so we do not have a function called date differences. So that's the reason, so we need to add the timestamp for date of birth and use the time function to get that, accurate value. Okay, so and also we use the current date stamp function in the work object suffix. Okay, by looking at the work object, now you will be able to find so when it is created. In some applications we use that. So along AL-145 the date when it is created. Okay, so you can show the work object ID in that way also. Clear? If DOB is null, age will be 0, otherwise this will be. Okay, so where we need to invoke this declare expression rule?
No need to invoke.
No need, right? Yeah, so now we need to re-execute. So if you're not putting that, let's say, the first condition, so it will, compare the current date time with 0 DOB. Okay, so you will get, some value in minus some value. So that should not be the case. Okay, so it has to calculate age whenever you enter DOB. Okay. Right. So if we change, this will be calculated automatically. Okay. So you can note down this function. Date time difference. So we use, this function very often, so if we want to take difference between two different dates, we can use this. So in this week, so I will explain, the leave request application requirement. So where, you will see this kind of scenarios, so it'll be putting from date and to date, and it has to return the number of leaves you are applying for. Okay. So now So I want, let's set the work object ID suffix also. Okay. So we have so where we set the work object ID prefix in the
Activity.
PY default data transform, right? Not in the activity. So if we set here, it will be applicable for all. So we have a property called PY work ID suffix. Okay. PY work ID suffix. And let's take the current timestamp, current date. So we have a function called get current date stamp. So you can use this function. Okay. So here you see the result. 2009-01-27 year, month and day. Okay. And you can text here. So after, let's say, it should not be like, so after the value, let's say 145 hyphen and the date. So if you are not printing this, if you are not putting, hyphen, so it will be, 145 immediately it will start date. So you will not have any space or hyphen. Okay. So now let's execute any flow. So you see work object ID. So HL-668 and it's created on 10/07 today. So if you want date also, so we can use other function called current date time. Okay, you will, so after the dates you will have time also. Okay. So now if we execute auto loan, so it will be held as, work object ID and the date. Clear? So likewise, so we need to choose the appropriate function. Okay. And so we have, let's say we have a page list, and if we want to know the count of page list, okay, length of page list, so we can choose that. And so we have a lot of functions available, so we'll work on few functions going forward. So count in page list, count in page list when length of page list, like number of pages available in the page list. Okay. And index in page list. Okay. So let's say I have 10 pages. I want to know the index of, the sum property. Let's say in each page we have a customer ID. Okay. And I want to know the index of the page where customer ID equal into 10. So it will go to the, that particular page and it will give you the index. Okay. Index is like, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4 pixels of 1, pixels of 2, 3. That will return that corresponding number. Okay. So we'll work on, few more methods going forward. Any questions? So from this scenario, so we covered the utility shape and we covered expression builder, okay, with some functions, right? So now you take the similar functions like what comes before, first, last, and all, and pass the value and see how it is returning. Okay, so they will not ask in the interviews, but like these are very important to work on the real-time applications. Okay. So in the next class we'll be working on validations part. Okay, and so we have here two types of validations available. Okay, so one is client-side validation and another is server-side. So let's say client-side validation is, so as soon as you enter the data here, immediately it will be displayed the message. Okay, so let's say we have the email. So if we take any kind of email, so we'll have @ symbol, so which is a mandatory, right? So if we are trying to put the email without @, so it will immediately display a message saying that say invalid email, like that. Okay, and sometimes the user inputs, like whatever the data we enter here, that will be validated after submitting the screen. So when you click on the submit, so user inputs will be validated. So that is server side validation. Okay, so based on the requirement, so we can configure either client side or server side. Some kind of messages we show immediately, and sometimes let's say if you want to check in the database, okay, so you are entering some data which is already available in the database and you don't need to enter that. So in that case, like so we can configure server side validations. Okay, and so we have some rules for client side and some rules for server side validations. So we'll be covered those okay, in the next class. Any questions?
No, Satya.
Yeah, so that's it for today. So we'll work on validations tomorrow. Thank you.
Thanks, Satya.